I don't need more seeds, but that's never stopped me before. I got some more seed. I got some more seed packages, y'all. What am I thinking? I'm crazy. Crazy about gardens, crazy about seeds. And yes, I got a few more packages in the mail. Gardening seeds for 2025. Probably 2026, 2027 too. So many seeds, so little time. I definitely don't need more, but it's so much fun, you guys. It's so much fun. And I don't I don't usually go to like coffee stands and that kind of stuff. So that's my vice, right? I don't drink alcohol. I don't usually, very rarely get my nails done or something like that. So it's my little treat to myself to buy some garden seeds. It entertains me. I find a lot of joy in it, and it gives me something to do in the spring and summer. So, and something to look forward to when it's getting dark early in the evening and cold. So, one of those little things that you can just really enjoy. And, I mean, people buy magazines, people buy a lot of things that we don't need. And the seeds I get, I do use. And they turn into gifts. They turn into all kinds of fun things around the property. They sometimes are medicine. Sometimes they end up being food, depending on the variety that I've selected. So I'm really excited to get into this. It's not just Baker Creek. It's a couple other vendors as well. Let's check this out. Lots of seeds. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments below what you find particularly interesting, and maybe a seed variety or two that you've recently purchased or acquired and that you're excited to grow this coming year. All right, everybody, let's get to the video. Ooh, it's cold and rainy out, and I've got a package right here to open up from MiGardener. I went online a couple times, so I know I've got another one in the mail probably. I want to go ahead and delve into this package and show you what I got. I'm super excited about all the little seed packages I have ordered, and I think you'll be excited too. I love MiGardener. One of the reasons why I love their seeds so much is they're only $2 a pack. Now I know they do have some kind of other varieties that have like drawn covers, like the outside seed packet is like sketched or something, and I'm sure there's something special about those seeds, but those are a little bit more. These are only $2 a package, so I love to go there and pack, kind of stock up on some of the staples for my seed stock. So I did get some more Georgian Southern Collards because I know them to be amazing, and you get 250 seeds for $2. That means they are literally less than a penny a seed. I think that's a fabulous deal. You know, I'm really stocking up on lettuce, and you know why. And there's a whole little conspiracy with lettuce going on right now. So if you want to watch one of my previous videos all about that, I did go into kind of some depth on it. But this is a crisp mint romaine. And I haven't tasted it before, but I do like different like textures in like a salad blend, so I thought that would be really nice. And we've got the black magic kale, which reminds me of like dinosaur kale or Lucinto kale. Let's see what it says here. Whoops. And it says think Lucinto kale, but with a deeper color and milder flavor. Oh, nice. This new favorite is loved for its hardiness as it thrives in both spring and warmer weather. Its leaves are abundant and will reappear again and again. Enjoy cooked, raw, or juiced. Excellent. So that's one of the things I think people get turned off on kale is it has kind of a stronger flavor. This one says it has a mild flavor. So black magic kale. Oh, and by the way, it says packed for 2025. Seed vendors are required to put the dates of when it's packed for, the dates that it's intended to be planted, but a lot of seed varieties will grow for many years. There are a lot of resources you can look up to see how long your seeds will last, and even those I've had before that were not supposed to grow anymore, I do not throw seeds away. I always plant them, and I'll have seeds growing that are like 10 years old. Not every single seed, but there might be a lower germination rate. So never throw away your seeds. But even if I haven't used all my seeds, every couple of years or so, I always like to get new seeds just in case the ones I have aren't any good. You never know what's going to happen with the seed supply. So it's like an insurance policy. Garlic chives are excellent, and most places that sell chives, it will be like just like the regular chives. They have the purple flowers, which I absolutely do adore, and I'm actually doing like a land race method of gardening with chives. I basically seed selected the ones that have the largest purple flowers, and I've just done that again and again and again. And so now the seeds I have will result in plants that have very large purple flowers. So I think they're just really beautiful, along with being culinary and so forth. And this is garlic chives, not the regular chives. The flowers should be white and have more. This will have more of like a garlic flavor to it instead of like an onion flavor. Hardy perennial herb. Oh, that's also one thing I love about chives, is growing something once and then getting the payoff for multiple years. Chicory can be used. The research I've done says that chicory root can be used in place of coffee. So I thought that would be a good idea to have these. The flowers are just totally lovely. They are related to dandelions, so you can see that they look kind of similar. Yep, so chicory has, some definite benefits, and also it's just really lovely. So it is known for its bitter, flavorful leaves and vibrant blue flowers. It is used in culinary applications. The leaves can be enjoyed raw in salads, and they are bitter, apparently. So, but you know what? I've been reading a lot about bitter foods. A lot of things that have a bitter flavor, if it's edible, have some kind of medical health benefit to them. Now, bitter is also a sign of something not being edible, but if you know it to be edible, there's something about those plants that have bitter flavors. And I'll talk about another thing at the very end about something that has a lot of a bitter flavor that's supposed to like help you live a long life, increase your longevity. So it says you can roast and grind up the roots for a coffee substitute. I've actually done that with dandelion roots, and it tastes kind of like an earthy tea. I did really enjoy it. It's not quite the same as coffee, but it is very, very healthy. So I guess you can do the same thing with chicory root. And of course, do your own research. Beware of food allergies and all the different properties of the plant before you start using it. I said I wasn't going to buy any more tomato seeds, y'all. I said I would not do it anymore, but I decided to go ahead and buy a few types of cherry tomatoes. For so many years, I really fought to go with these large tomatoes and just really married to the idea that I can grow any kind of tomato ever. And now I'm just getting to the point where it's like, you know what, I'm going to plant the seeds that I have, but you also should embrace what grows really well for you and what really grows well in your area. And so I'm embracing the whole idea of cherry tomatoes because they just grow like crazy for me. I actually had some that were still putting off tomatoes, and I was afraid that we were going to have a frost, so I brought them into my classroom. And I actually had a couple of students who said, they're like, I don't want a piece of candy from the prize bin. Can I have a cherry tomato instead? Like, are you kidding me? That's amazing. So I have a couple tomato plants in my classroom growing. I actually have some pepper plants growing too. So I was like, you know what? They're in pots. I'm going to see if I can make them live as long as possible. Technically, they're perennial. Tomatoes tend to get a little diseased after a while. So I might do some cuttings to keep the genetics going, especially for the plants that are just going so well for me. But the cherry tomatoes just are like more bang for your buck. You just get so many tomatoes. And
And yeah, they're small. They're smaller servings, you know, but I love those Capri salads. I'm not sure if I'm saying it correctly or not. Um, but with the, you know, the balsamic syrup and the basil, tomatoes, and mozzarella. So delicious. And it's actually my favorite way to have tomatoes anyway. So, you know, that's great. So I definitely would be growing a lot of cherry tomatoes, especially the smaller type. This isn't a determinant. Um, but I've decided, you know, I'm going to plant tomatoes just kind of like everywhere. And I do like to grow it with basil. I like to grow marigolds around them. It just looks adorable, and it's also supposedly beneficial. And I've never had any problems with my tomatoes, so I'm going to say, sure, I think that's true. This is a black cherry tomato. And if you look on their website, everything that they grow is either like heirloom, or if it's a hybrid, it will say it's a hybrid. But they do not sell any GMO seeds. So this is a black cherry tomato. And I'm partially growing it for the novelty of having a black tomato. It says it's very sweet and low acidity. Tomatoes are about 1 ounce and several pounds per plant. That's awesome. Imagine, okay, so you pay $2 for 25 seeds. Okay, so that means you're paying less than 10 cents a seed. So for less than 10 cents, you can get several pounds of tomatoes. I mean, you do have other inputs like organic matter, you know, whatever you use in your soil, but that to me is a great deal. Okay. And then I do have delicata squash seeds already, but I decided to buy some more because I think it's important. Yep, so as I was saying, food security is really important. And what's really cool about these is that you can actually get 8 to 10 fruits per plant. So each plant can produce that many. And let's say we round down to 5. Okay, and it says 1 to 3 pounds each. Let's say you have 1 pound each and 5 fruits per plant. If that was 5 pounds, and you got 5 pounds of food for 15 plants, imagine this, you know, let's say 5 of them didn't germinate. Obviously they won't. But let's say 50 pounds. And if they all germinated, 75 pounds. And this is on the low end. So if you, let's say just go 50 pounds. If you had, let's again, round down. It says 8 to 10 fruits per plant. Let's say you had 5. And it says 1 to 3 pounds each. So let's say 1. So let's say you got 5 pounds out of 1. And you had 15. Okay. 5 times 10 is 50. So that means 75. So you could get 75 pounds of food out of the seed packet. And that's rounding down. And there's probably going to be more than 15 seeds in here, because usually it'll be like 1 extra or something. But it could be 50 to 75 pounds, maybe even more than that. So, and then also you have the seeds for next year, right? And all this pulp stuff in the middle that you don't eat, any skins or rinds or stems, plant material, will just be compost for making more soil. And then you've got so much food for $2. You can get 50 pounds of food for $2. Okay? But you need that compost, because squash are heavy feeders. You're going to want to make sure that you have really organically rich soil, which like leaf mold, like all that kind of stuff, chop and drop. You want to have a really earthy soil, not like a dead soil. What's a garden without some herbs and spices? This is cumin, I think, which is a great choice. And I mean, I probably wouldn't start with cumin. I'd start with like oregano and basil and thyme and all those kinds of things, and rosemary, lemon and verbena. But cumin is very good. It's self-seeding qualities, so you might have, it might spread a bit, and that's kind of a nice thing to have. Some people don't like it when plants spread, but I love it because it's like free plants. Hello, free plants right there. I love it when I hear like self-seeding and spreads well or might need some containment. That usually means it has a will to live. So get yourself some cumin and you get 1,000 seeds for $2. Isn't that crazy? 1,000 seeds for $2. Lovely. And then I did get some bells of Ireland, which you can see these on many different websites too, but these are just for the ornamental quality. Love the name as well. And I think it will look really cute in a cottage garden, which is kind of something I'm going for, but a little bit less structured and more chaotic. A chaotic cottage garden. Yeah. So this is really cute. You can also do cuttings for arrangements. And that's something I really want to get into, is doing floral arrangements, because it used to be so charming. My dad, when he was alive, he would sometimes, like when he had his flower garden going, like do a cut arrangement of all of like his dahlias and zinnias and stuff. And I just thought that was such a beautiful thing, beautiful idea. And to have homegrown flower bouquet, floral bouquets. So this could kind of double as like the greenery in a bouquet. So I thought that'd be really charming. And then milkweed, and there's many different kinds of milkweed. Some attract different types of pollinators, and I would definitely want to have as many pollinators in my garden as possible. It is perennial, and I think I messed up, you guys. I will be honest. So sometimes when you plant something new to yourself and you don't really know its growing habits when it first grows, I think like 10 years ago, I planted some milkweed, and then I literally thought it was a weed and weeded it up. So I'm going to have to start over. Okay. It's good to be honest about our mistakes, but I actually do think, I thought, oh, it never grew. It never grew. And then I saw this really different looking weed, and it was milkweed. When it grows, it looks weedy. So when you're growing this for the first time, maybe Google search some images of what it looks like in various stages, because I'm almost certain I weeded this out of my garden at some point. So, but you definitely want to have some pollinator friendly flowers and host plants for their caterpillars. And then parsley, which is known to be very, very healthy. Obviously, that's a staple. Coffee is more novelty. It is really hard to get coffee seeds to grow. It can take a long time, and they like a damp, warm environment, and you don't want to plant old seeds. So I can't just save these forever. I'm going to want to plant these right away, probably on a grow mat with a moist medium. I did buy some dapple gray bush beans. I really don't need to be buying any more bush beans because I really like the dragon tongue, which isn't really a bush bean, I guess, if you think about it, but doesn't grow too vigorously, not as crazy as like the scarlet red runner beans, but I don't think you can go wrong with beans because they're nitrogen fixers. So at the very least, you are improving your soil by growing them. And also, beans have very pretty flowers. Like, I think they make a great ornamental. And if someone's not a gardener, they might just think it's an ornamental and not realize that flower is gonna turn into a bean someday. So good. These beans are good for soups, stews, and salads. Do be careful when you're growing things that are like ornamental and not edible. Some things might cross-pollinate. I think beans would be kind of a stretch, but I just would be careful that you don't also have like little kids or people who don't know the plants, because there are some, like varieties of beans that are not edible. So if you're growing things that aren't, you might want to have them labeled and really separated out. Or you could use it as a diversion. If you're growing like gray mince crops, if you have everything all kind of willy-nilly and it's hard to figure out what's edible or not. But I would really hate to see someone get sick or hurt from growing something. So these look really good. I'm going to grow them and eat them. Cucamelons are a novelty. Now I see some people like post videos about cucamelons have like tiny little, looks like a tiny little watermelon that tastes like a cucumber. I wouldn't say that the flavor rocks my world, but they are so stinking cute. And I would not say they're very prolific, but a lot of people say that they are. And I might not have had them in just the right conditions or something, but I would have like a pretty tall vine, very tiny. Like it's tall but tiny. If that makes any sense. Like the scale of the plant itself. Like the leaves are small, the stems are small, like everything is miniature about this. It says vigorous plant, and the fruit's about the size of a grape, which is true. I wouldn't say they taste as good as cucumbers, but they are so adorable. Like you could pose it with a figurine or something. It would just be so funny. But these are more novelty, and this is for a child's garden. I would love it. It would be adorable. And you might actually get your kid to eat some vegetables because they look like tiny watermelons. I love, love, love ground cherries. They're so great. They look like, the plant looks like a small tomato. Okay. But the fruits have this little husk lantern around them. And you know that they're ripe when they drop the fruit on the ground. And then when you peel it back, it needs to be this, no green. It can't have any green. It should be like either yellow or orange with no green. If it's not, put it in a bowl in the fridge and let it continue to ripen. And then when it's ripened, pop it in your mouth. It's delicious. I always have the intent of making a sort of like a mango salsa, but using these ground cherries. The problem is I like these too much, and I never saved enough to actually make a salsa because I kept snacking. But I mean, that's a good problem to have, right? Is liking the flavor too much. It does taste like a cross between, I know it's kind of sound weird, between like a pineapple and a tomato, but for some reason it just kind of works. I would not put it in a pie. I did see somebody in one of my plant groups said that they made it in a pie and they just didn't care for it very much. But yeah, don't please. This is not, I mean, I know technically it's a fruit, but you don't eat it like a fruit. I got some American spinach, which is maybe not so exciting, but I got it for a specific reason. I will give you my special reason for buying this specific type of spinach. It's actually right here where it says slow to bolt. It has a longer season than other varieties with high yields. So I got that specifically because my experience with spinach has been it being quick to bolt and not having a very long window for harvesting. So that's why I got this specific type. Supposed to have lots of high yields and a longer season. Perfect for a fall garden. It's sweeter when it matures into cool weather. We know that about spinach. It does like to be cooler. Otherwise, it starts trying to go to flower, which is how you get free seeds for the next year. So, I mean, you do want them to bolt eventually, but you want to get a good crop out of it first. So that's the spinach. And then I did get some of this Bequino red peppers, which I said I wasn't going to buy any more peppers. But see how small they are? Okay. Now, I know it's more work when you have peppers that are small because they can have seeds and it's like a lot more work. But in my climate, it usually means I at least get some peppers because with a long season crop in a shorter season harvest time and so forth in a cooler climate, you might not get a crop at all. So I did go with a smaller variety here. And they are nicknamed Little Beak peppers because of their cute little shape. And they are heirlooms from Brazil. It says that they are sweet and tangy, mildly spicy. So I'm going for kind of mild here. I did grow ghost peppers before, and yeah, those are like it's like death pepper. They didn't misname that at all, ghost pepper, because you will be the ghost. Then I also did get some more Detroit dark red beets. If you don't know already, you can plant using the Charles Dowd method. You can plant like 5 beets in a hole. Totally against what everyone says. Put it one and then, several inches apart, put another one. You can put 5 in one hole. And then as they start to like squeeze each other out, pull 1 or 2 out and let them fill up the gap, and then pull 1 or 2 out until finally you have 1 left. And then you have 1 really decent sized beet. But along the way, you get a lot of different harvests out of that same small space. And I don't know why, but I kind of feel like they grow better this way. I tried 1 hole at a time like you're supposed to. And I didn't get that much out of it. Like the beets were not any bigger that way. So you might as well get 5 out of the same amount of space. I did buy some more black garbanzo bush beans. I can tell you right now the cheapest way to buy these is to see if your local grocery co-op has a bulk area, because mine does, and you can get them by the pound or like by the ounce actually if you wanted to get less than that. So that would be the absolute cheapest way, but they are not going to have growing instructions. So if you buy 1 seed pack from like MiGardener and then buy a pound from your co-op, then you have the instructions, how to grow them, all the information, and then you just get tons and tons of seeds from your co-op. That's what I would do. That is what I do. I said do. I've been in the middle school for too long. Okay, diamond bell peppers, because I will never say no to bell peppers, even though I know probably I could plant something that's a little bit more productive in terms of space. Cubanelle peppers are great. I was also looking for Anaheims. Did I get Anaheims? Yes, I did get Anaheims because we like chili rellenos. And I'm forgetting what the authentic chili relleno pepper is. You can pop that in the comments if you remember. But we found that we like the Anaheim peppers. Don't get mad. We like the Anaheim peppers better. The skin of the pepper is a little bit thinner, and the flavor I prefer the flavor of the Anaheim. So they make really good chili rellenos. If you haven't made them before, look up a recipe and it will call for a different kind of pepper, but Anaheims are a great swap in for that. And then I said I did have something bitter that I was kind of surprised that they have. They have bitter melon seeds at MiGardener. I was really surprised because it's kind of a specialty crop. And these bitter melons, if you look up the Blue Zone diet, they're known for being a major crop staple food in the diets of people who live to be over 100 years old. So I do have several varieties from Baker Creek, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and buy the seeds that they have for MiGardener. You get 5 seeds for $2, so they're a little bit more on the expensive side, but this is like an adventure. You're like touching another country. It's like this is my experience with I think it's Japan. So I'm never going to probably get to go to that place in the world, but I can grow bitter melon, and it's probably going to be as bitter tasting as the name implies. My husband bought some bitter melon from an Asian grocery store several years back, and I tasted it just raw, and it was almost inedible. But I'm sure there are recipes that make it a little bit more palatable. And so I did buy some, and it does take longer, if I remember correctly. I think that was an issue. I tried growing them before, but I ended up not starting soon enough. So make sure you do a little bit of research. And it says starting them 3 weeks before last frost indoors. And I think that is kind of pushing out. I might even do 4 weeks indoors in like maybe a little bit of a larger container so that you have you don't get like root bound. Something I found with bitter gourd and also with loofah, which are 2 crops I failed with in Washington State, is that I either didn't start early enough or I started too early and they got root bound, and then their growth was stunted. So my plan is to start them early enough and then transplant them into a larger container, maybe at least one transplant potting up, if you want to call it that, before I actually put them outside. So I'm going to try that one more time. Follow if you want to see how that goes. But I'm going to give it another shot to try to grow bitter melon in Washington State, as well as loofah. And I've got the edible loofah, which apparently all of them are, but I've got like a culinary loofah, and I've also got the sponge type loofahs, and I'm going to try growing them both and see how those go, as well as the bitter melon. And I've got some other gourds, edible gourds, that are going to be really interesting to look at this year. If you want to follow, subscribe, all that good stuff, to see how those go. And I'm really pushing the boundaries, being in the Pacific Northwest, trying to grow some things that nobody around me seems to be growing. So there is a dearth of information about growing those things in my zone. Dearth meaning very little. Inside joke. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and see if I have any other packages to open, but this is not Baker Creek. This is MiGardener's seeds, and they were only $2 a pack. And so some of the packs have 250 seeds, some of them have 5 seeds. Make sure you look at the seed count so you don't get mad, but usually there's going to be 1 or 2 extra seeds in there to maybe calm you down a little bit. So let me go look and see if I have any more seed packets to unopen, or to unopen. That would mean to close. To open or unpack. Next package I'm going to get into is from Everwilde Farms. I'm super excited. I know I got something really good from them. I don't remember what it was, but it was something worth me going off from my normal seed vendors, because I usually go with Baker Creek or MiGardener. So Everwilde does have really great seeds. And I'm going to go ahead and open up this package and show you what I got here. So you can see that their facility is in California. And let's get into this and see what we have. Wonderful. So I did get some Spiderwort. And I'm not sure if this will work. Because the reason why I got Spiderwort is due to a very amazing superpower it has, which is it will turn color in the presence of like nuclear waste and pollution. And so I have grown Spiderwort in the past, and my plants were very old. I want to say 15 years old or so. Or, the little population of Spiderwort I had growing. And I lost track of it. I think, it either, fizzled out and just didn't come back the last couple years, but I wanted to make sure I got some more Spiderwort growing. Now, what I've heard about Spiderwort is that you're supposed to get a certain variety that that you grow, like it's basically propagated by either cuttings or divisions, and that growing it from seed won't necessarily have the same effect. I would love for you to comment below if you know more about this, because I've done a lot of research about it, but it was probably over a decade ago that I was researching it. So who knows, the human brain. Go ahead and comment below if you know more about Spiderwort and how the flowers change color in the presence of pollution and so forth. So I thought this would be very useful as an indicator species. If you're interested in biology and the science behind it, there are some indicator species that tend to show us that there's a problem in the environment sooner. It's like frogs are an indicator species. If there's pollution, you'll often see mutations and things in frogs earlier than you would see in other species, and their life cycle is also a little bit faster than like mammals. So if you see mutations in a frog population, you might be aware that there could be some kind of, harmful substance in the area. So that's why I got the Spiderwort flowers, the seeds for these. And I'm going to do a little maybe experiment down the line. I don't want to harm them, but maybe place some near the street and near areas where I would expect there to be pollution, just to see, I'm not sure how much pollution they would have to be exposed to actually change color. But it would be really interesting to see if they pick up pollutants just in the area, or if it has to be really extreme. So please comment below what is your experience with Ohio spiderwort or any kind of spiderwort, and if you've learned about this type of plant. They did plant spiderwort, I'm not sure which variety, around Fukushima as an indicator species. So that's a really interesting, situation. The scientists would even consider using a plant as a way to monitor nuclear spillage or runoff. So definitely look into spiderwort, and if you're not growing some already, I would recommend it. And if you see the flowers change, you might know that you need some potassium iodide. And if you haven't checked out, is it Canadian Prepper? He talks about potassium iodide. He doesn't talk about the flower. So I'm kind of blending together here with this particular plant, a little bit of preparedness with gardening. So this is a really neat topic. If you want to see more about that, go ahead and hit subscribe and like, because I am all into preparedness with my garden. Not just being prepared to garden, but actually using the garden as a way to prep for the future and to be ready for anything. Let me get into my next package, which is none other than, this package, Baker Creek. So from Baker Creek today, I received the Moringa. This is a dwarf Moringa. This is Moringa oleifera, and Moringa oleifera is considered the miracle tree. I've been trying to grow Moringa for, I'd say, probably 10 years at least. And I will buy it in bulk. I usually buy it from Paisley Craft and Farm, or some Paisley Crafts. I'll have to link it. I think they're out right now, and they're waiting for orders to arrive from their supplier. So they don't have seeds right now. And I have literally, I think, 2 pounds of seeds still, but they're not dwarf varieties. And my plan with those is to grow them as a annual, and then harvest the leaves from those seeds. And you can also buy them in a really small package, sometimes from a Mexican grocery store. Sometimes they'll have Moringa, because they will use the seeds medicinally for diabetes and other things. I am not a doctor, and I'm not prescribing anything. I'm just letting you know how I've heard of people using them in the community. So, but with the Moringa, the dwarf Moringa, my plan is to grow it as a potted plant and bring it indoors, and that way I can keep it going on, because it is not from this climate. Moringa is said to be a miracle plant. The leaves are edible. You can buy the dried leaves in like health food stores, and they are ridiculously expensive. And so I got these dwarf Moringa seeds from Baker Creek with the hope that they will do really, really well for me here in Washington State. Many years ago, I want to say like 10 years ago, when I was going crazy over Moringa, I found a farm in Washington State that was saying that they were going to have a Moringa farm, and they must have failed miserably, because it's been at least 10 years, and there's nothing online about them anymore. So Moringa, if you live in a warm climate like zone 10 or warmer, Moringa is probably going to be really up your alley. It likes poor soil. It has a very large, very long taproot, and it does not like to be transplanted. I have learned this the hard way. So I'm going to plant this with some kind of compostable pot as a liner. So when it gets too big for a pot, I can take the compostable liner, put it into a larger pot, and then let it like disintegrate, so that it doesn't have any root disturbance. That is really important with Moringa. It also really hates to have wet feet. So if you have a really poor drainage, it will rot, and it will like lose its top. It will dampen off. and it also does not like a lot of nutrients. So I'm going to do an experiment and plant it in different soil types to see if I can just get it just perfected, and I will update you on what I find. There are people who are growing this in India and in Africa, and they're using the dried leaves powdered as infant formula, and it has saved a lot of babies from starvation and malnutrition, and prevented the spread of HIV/AIDS from the mother to the baby, because if a woman is infected, she can pass it along through her breast milk. So this has been a lifesaver in a lot of third world countries, and it grows really well in the poor soil. So I'm in love with the idea of growing this plant, and we have family who live in Mexico, and I'm really encouraging them to try to grow Moringa, oleifera, it's Moringa, oleifera, Oleifera. And this one is a dwarf variety from Baker Creek. Super stoked about it, and I'm going to continue to try to grow the ones I have in bulk. They'll sprout for me, and they'll get like 4 or 5 inches tall, and then the tops fall off. And I don't know what exactly I'm doing wrong, because I do know that, like when I first started, the root disturbance, I wasn't aware of that. So they did not like that. I'd start them in like little instant pots, and then, or, little pots, or I started them in water, and they sprouted beautifully. I transplanted them into soil, little small containers. And then whenever I would either transplant them, or one morning I'd wake up and the top would be gone. It would just be like falling off. It just, they would dampen off. So don't overwater moringa. They do not mind it so much when they're first sprouting, but when they get to be like 2 inches tall, it's almost like you want to neglect them and abuse them. It's like the more you care about them, the worse they do. So maybe plant one, care about it, plant another one, and totally neglect it and see what happens. A little bit of water, but definitely don't overwater those. Okra. Now, I will tell you, I've grown okra very sadly with the little tiny pitiful plants, but they have the prettiest flowers. So I think it's worth trying again with different varieties to see if I can find one that's really productive, because I do love fried okra. I know, come on, it's fried. What's not good if it's fried? Probably not good for you that way, but it's really, really good. Fried okra, it's like if you batter it and coat it in like breadcrumbs and fry it, it's just like, oh my gosh, you just never had anything. There is I think Southern Kitchen. There is a restaurant that was featured on one of those like dumps and dives or something like that. There is one of those restaurants in Washington State. It's called Southern Kitchen, and they have like fried green tomatoes. They probably have fried okra, I'm guessing. But I love that restaurant. It's so yummy. Yeah, I've only been like 2 or 3 times, but it's very good. So Southern Kitchen, I think they're in Tacoma, Washington, and they have all kinds of Southern foods that you don't usually get to try in Washington State. So check them out. Check their menu if you're in Washington, and see if you want to grow things like possibly like okra. I'm going to just assume that it's on the menu. I'm going to have to check now, and I'll make a little note somewhere about it. The fried okra is so good. And I saw some of their Baker Creek's advertisements for this variety, and it just looks they're huge, and the gentleman is like taking a bite right out of it. So it must be good. Then here I bought the Wade's Giant Corn, and I'm really all about production and just productivity and harvest size now. So the Wade's Giant Indian Corn, and I'm getting this not just as a decoration, but it can sit on the shelf for winter and fall, looking super cute. And then you can mill it, like grind it up and make all kinds of like tortillas and masa and whatever. So I'm really excited about this. And I also have a plan for using the husks and the cobs and the stalks. And if you want to see what I'm going to do with those later, make sure you click like and subscribe. But I'm definitely going to nothing's going to go to waste. So I will be using the husks, the corn kernels, obviously, that's what you're growing them for, the cobs that are inside, the dried cobs, and also the full stalk and plant. But the Wade's Giant Indian looks like an amazing variety, and it looks like I got the orange hot tomato as my freebie. And what's cool about that is I actually wanted to buy it. But I was like, don't buy any more tomatoes. What are you doing, girl? But this is super cute because you can fit this like in your windowsill. And like if your windowsill is just like 6 inches long, you still have space to grow some food. And I love that caprese salad with the and I'm probably saying it wrong. I keep looking it up. I think it's like caprese or caprese salad. It has like these little cherry tomatoes with balsamic syrup, basil, and mozzarella. And little hint here, if you're not really great at growing basil or if it's super expensive, I came up with a different way of doing it. I tried out and it's not too bad. Use mint instead of basil if you are in a pinch. And it kind of takes a little bit getting used to it, but once you get used to it, it's almost as good. And I call it my poor man's basil is mint. So very, very yummy. Thank you for watching the video, and hopefully you got some ideas and inspiration on some different plants that you might be interested in growing in the future. Pop a comment below. What are you excited to grow? Do you grow any plants from Everwilde Farms? Obviously Baker Creek, a lot of my followers are into Baker Creek and MiGardener. And how do you think they stack up? All right, everybody, God bless you and be good, be sweet, grow a garden if you want to eat. I'll see you next time.